the purple fire of divine love, a love of eternity anointed with the sweet oil of heaven. Based on Richard Rolle's Fire of Love, circa 1343, by Darcy John Bouchard, copyright symbol 2003. Exchange the glory of incorruptible charity for a fleeting moment, abandoning the withering of beauty and physical lust for the hatred of wickedness, magnificence of worldly splendor, devastating virtue and encouraging vice and riotous living. Wander not away from faith to have heart broken with many sorrows, everlasting bother with the transitory without acquiring devotion, neither opposing the wicked world of flesh with reluctance, nor ye attending to mundane matters but only as need, not lust, may require. Loaf not nor gad after the spectacular and the frivolous, sincerely care, and do so thoughtfully. The reprobate, altogether too casual, are inattentive in prayers offered without love and meditations without prayer, do yin alms of mortal sin with means unjustly gotten which are not pleasing to our Redeemer, but rather provoking judgment to vengeance. Serve ye not worldly carnality nor adulterating greed, that your good deed doing be given moreover to things temporal rather than eternal. Be ye merciful, chaste, and humble, for only self-confessed penitence in denial of sin obscures mortal wounds by the odor of sanctity, which compels the heart to glow with charity, eager for love and indifference to vanity, for, in love, no one attains the heights of devotion at once. In love, occasionally, momentarily, we are allowed to experience the gradual progress of spiritual strength to heavenly heights of devotion, at once ravished with contemplative sweetness, the gravity of behavior so necessary to achieving certain stability of mind. Oh, perfection, only acquired after great labor of feeling joy in loving. Only then do things temporal melt in the immense fire of divine love, singing in heart the jubilant song of divine praise, echoing harmoniously throughout your mind as the genuine fire of heavenly praises. Thus, reborn of virtue, immediately and genuinely experiencing all the sublime mystery of charity, and melting as your soul's voice gives birth to quietus, rejoicing in song, I will go to the house of the Lord, with the voice of praise and thanksgiving. 1. O join ye those perfect souls, those angelic hearts surpassing in eternal abundance, and discover within your mind a life of love suffused with imperishable sweetness poured out from the glittering chalice of charity, a cornucopia's heart of holy, happy wisdom. Inhale you the joyful heat of love into your parched soul, athirst for life, drowning with every breath, devouring and being devoured by an indescribable comfort in earthly exile. Distress befell our beloved groom, crowned with glory, inflamed with love and companioned by seraphim in highest heaven, rejoicing with prayers of love everlasting. 2 supernal angels are not sent out on errands, but kept close to the heart. Charity and spiritual virtue in our hearts keep the soul from corruption of sin, by grace inspiring contemplation of the fire of eternal love. Due meed of affection and glory, rejoicing forever and steadfast, serving righteousness, adrift from contempt and insults and obloquy and worldly prosperity and vanity, contagions, attractive poisons. Consolation in songs of love and sweetness of devotion. Accepting ardently with equanimity, fiery love feeds into our minds, blazing, divine glory. High on manifest desire. Our hearts aflame, glow, burn, purged of sin's foulness, impervious to suffering, consistently practicing righteousness. Worldly vanity, and pleasures, greater folly, pitiful and damning, nature passing and decaying with no qualms about serving sin. Reckoned creatures caring nothing for desire and pursuit of things eternal, a dreadful moment of everlasting perdition surrendered wholly to the world. Wretched destruction begins. Deliberately given to wallowing in the lust of flesh and of the appalling darkness of perverse error. No mitigation of grief, nor alleviation of the pain of carnal lust and damnation. By their own free will, wantonly a love of sensual pleasure deceived. clear conscience, unwavering, unaffected by depression and vainglory. Our prime concern must be love, not to acquire knowledge or engage in dialogue. Love delights the soul and sweetens the conscience. Knowledge without love does not edify to or contribute to eternal salvation. Consolation, transient, does not endure, refuse to yield to base pleasure. Great the lament of those who have never loved the founder of the universe, cast into unending darkness. The everlasting heat of hellfire is reserved for those who do not love their Redeemer. No splendor or coronation glory for those who not praise the love of their Maker. Rather than endure penance and hardship, and purge their sins, in a vale of tears they languish, in torments unbroken. 3 Made beautiful through virtue, blossomed, happy, spiritual fervor of sweet love ravishing. Praising life of spirit sincerely, seeking inextinguishable heat in the glorious choir and rich melody. A shade of heaven protects against scorching lusts and melancholy. Irksome, sick world, a shadow of doubt and torment vanishes. No grief among seraphim, completely absorbed in indescribable, supreme love. It behooves, absorbed into splendid praise, saturated, blessedness, indissoluble claim of love. Undisciplined and chaotic minds given way to curiosity, opposing love in their hearts by insensate greed, resistant to truth, heretical and proud to ventilate pleasure in decrying, rejecting belief and understanding either by reason or intellect, of the unknowable, incommunicable and incomprehensible incredible glory. We know in part and we understand in part. For through charity, repudiate all vainglory, acquire and retain love. In the time of temptation receive the crown of life, for love makes whole. Blessed art the poor. 5 Afflicted by much hunger and thirst, cold and nakedness, and other trials. Purged of squalor and despise and enduring patience in tribulation. Consciously and deliberately enduring persecution, wretchedness, and misery, a veil of tribulation, sickness, and grief, surrounded by enervating luxury, and wholly in supreme righteousness only through grace, spurning allurement completely, however pleasant flesh's seduction and delight of life's carnal, illicit pleasure, appalling filth eschewed by the chaste. Nothing is dearer to God than innocence, more pleasing than goodwill. 6 He has spread a cloud, of divine grace, for a cover, from carnal lust, and fire, of everlasting love, to give light, within the mind, in the night, of this life. 7 Temporal honor can be destroyed by shame. Earthly glory finished by confusion. Insult, confusion, grief, habitually faced with patience, learn humility and be crowned in splendor. Patience of poor will not ultimately perish. Genuinely humble through all life, righteous, fearing no tribulation, grief, misery, perplexity, or rejection, advancing in contemplation and love. In patient humility and love we cleave to precepts and counsels of Christ, passing through pleasant and unpleasant, hardship and poverty, never murmuring, or speaking, foolishly or perversely. In everything we give thanks. 8 While I live I shall praise the Lord my God with delight and devotion. 9 Suffer or prosper, face insult or honor, undergo persecution, never forgetting love. Neither frivolous nor reprehensible or presumptuous reputation, for the odor of sanctity of life laudable. Love is strong as death, jealousy as cruel as hell. 10 Deceit is the wisdom of the world. Peace known, heart fixed, longing in thought of love, delectable, wrapped in sublime and gay melody, vigilant, pining for ardent love blithely. 11 Renunciation of world, solitary, irreproachable, supernal, transcendent. The tempted fall having not grace to resist. I will love you, Lord, my strength. 12 The power of his merit, glory chastised, delights of this world are few and fleeting. His teaching endows strength. Kept off carnal pleasures and endured hard penance, undue hardship. Eternal delight and full reward, the vision of God and His holy saints. Embrace a life that has no human comfort to attain glory in divine consolation, recipient of frequent spiritual visitations. 13 In order to serve God with greater freedom and devotion. Relinquishing, spurning and rejecting the transitory and in the sublimity of the mind, risen above temporal devotion and contemplation never wavering. Live life loving and despise the worldly, continually devote hate idleness, withstand pleasures of the flesh and worldly corruption, ardently seek heavenly things and delight in sweetness of prayer, and genuinely experience, chaste, unsullied, celestial music resounds sweet, flowing melody consoled by delight of love to vigorously exalt God, ecstasy through consolation, an inner blaze of indescribable and unwavering charity, freedom of grace, rejection of carnal affection, everlasting bliss infused with the calm quietness of heart, clear conscience though suffering hardship and adversity, in spirit maintaining constant harmony and fervor. See how I burn, consumed with indescribable love, flame gladdens and glistens with heavenly light. Purged of vice and avoid all ostentation, courage not to dread, fervor, mind, enthralled to ardent, overflowing of praise, truly ablaze with fire of eternal love, heart similarly ablaze with marvelous delight, exquisite, perfecting, continual retention of love, ardently, without cessation. The joyful psalmody, delectable, unceasing praise in tribulation and persecution and in prosperity, confidence, vehemence and virtue, beautiful, true, lovely and faultless flourishing, body's grievous yoke depresses soul, flesh falters under burden of life, in consequence spirit falters too. In true loving minds is, always, a song of glory and inner flame of love surging up, out of clear conscience and abundant spiritual joy, inward gladness, love's virtue abounds, immense in its fervor and unrestrained. Radiant. Irresistible. Real penitence involves giving up everything that panders to vanity. 14 I languish for love. 15 Love is the transforming of the desire into the assimilating to beloved. The splendors of the spiritual preferred to pleasures of the visible. Sweet love and a devout heart, diffusive, unifying, and transforming, transforms the lover into his beloved. Charity is the queen of virtues. Beauty of the soul it wounds, intoxicates and melts, beautifies, gladdens, enkindles. Orderly and practical, love alone makes us blessed, sully not love by thought, word, or deed. Renunciation to attain perfection, sincerely enduring serious hardship, exercising great diligence through penance the flesh sheds degenerate delights and decadent thoughts. No recourse to intolerable sensual lusts, fleshy beauty is corruptible, weak, and contemptible, passing. Deceiving truth scorns and tramples down vanity, worldly lust beguiles, the shining soul intent, wont to be filled with abundant sweetness, earthly vanity and fleshy lust is accounted the filthiest refuse which, in a vale of tears, leads to death. Perfection of love tempted to lust. 16 Abstain from anything that will destroy or hinder perfect love through free will and grace of God, contempt of transient and perverse corruption of flesh. Stability of mind, through continual prayer, acquires grace and glory, a soul kindled with fire of love. Contemplative life, sweeter, nobler, worthier, meritorious in respect and delight of uncreated good, demanding. Savor the sweetness of eternal love. A man is not more holy because of the outward deeds he performs, but the more ardent a man's love in abundance, infused, of joy and song, purer and more precious, in fervor of love and contemplation, aglow, mind set on heavenly things giving alms, defending truth, even unto death, great penances performing for God's sake, putting up with wretchedness in this life, yielding wholly to God, surrendered completely to love persevering. The fire of love cleans out all trivial and unnecessary vice, creates beauty in virtue, Divine love, so ardent, burns up venial sin and mortal sins, burnt up in the fire of divine love, rejecting care of worldly affairs, spurning all transitory things, refraining from wanton and improper desires, mind exalted and rapt with delights, overcoming burden of flesh. Lasciviousness abounding in license and wealth, perverse, carnal, voluptuous lust, seductions of flesh inflames mind, kindles fire of sensuality, and temptation of carnal pleasures, increased riches, beguiled by charm and flattery, deplorably defected from faithfulness. Avarice is spiritual adultery. The covetous through passion for money, prostitution, inordinate greed, fornication, idolatry, baneful pleasures, vilify. The delight of angels, the reward of blessedness. Purity of heart cleaves to Christ, in asperity, as if unto breasts sweeter than wine. 17 Love that is perfect conquers pain and overcomes, rejects pride in humility. Righteous is humble love in truth and high perfection. 18 In thought and deed, great humility and contempt of world, and hatred of sin. Desire for sweet and fervent love. Abound in virtue. Glitter with miracles and exalt shining charity with contemplation's heavenly gift. Deliberately away from earthly hindrances, the transient fades. Wrath of God and justice is vindicated, ghastly fires of the deep, narrow valley of Jehannam Topeth. Enthralled by pleasure of heavenly desire, supernal delight, stranger to venal and carnal sweetness, pleasures of the flesh world. Spiritual gifts oblige the devout soul to love and subdue flesh through penance. Embrace tribulation, empty glory, human solace, consolation of earthly comfort seems desolate, delights of lascivious and carnal wickedness cover up the loathsome, abominable terror of coming damnation. Despicable worm, despise thy own virtue and seek his glory lest you succumb to vanity and lose everlasting reward. Flesh is aggravating and will be subdued. Fundamental essence liberated from idleness and uncleanness. Not demerit nor denigration. The reward of ardent, devoted, praise and promotion to splendor, humility best disposes. Persevere in loving God. Reject pride and profoundly love humility. Abominate vainglory's only desire for eternal pleasure. Loathe the softness of carnal pleasure, taste the sweetness and burn, endure without bitterness or resentment, envious, radiant and rejoicing progress and salvation. Hereafter, the purple fire of divine love remains unfinished. 1 Psalms 42:4. 2 I Corinthians 8:1. 3 Heaping pain upon heaping pain. 4 I Corinthians 13:12. Compare PS 36 hours 10 minutes. 5 Luke 6:20. 6 Psalms 90 hours 15 minutes. 7 Psalms 105:39. 8 I Thessalonians 5:18. 9 Psalms 104:33. 10 Canticle of Canticles 8:6. Compare Exodus 34:14. 11 Canticle of Canticles 5:8. 12 PS 18:1. 13 Hosea 2:14, I will lead her into solitude, and I will speak to her heart. 14 Ecclesiastes 1:2. 15 Isaiah 5:1, Psalms 71:6. Compare Canticle of Canticles 5:8, 8:6. 16 Galatians 5:17, the flesh lusts against the spirit and the spirit against the flesh. 17 Canticle of Canticles 1:2. 18 Canticle of Canticles 1:3, the righteous love you.